All right, so we're gonna wait for people to come in. Good morning. I'm really excited about this live. Hi, good morning. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining in. So we're just gonna wait for more people to join. Today is actually World Diabetes Day, and I'm very excited to be interviewing Debbie. She's doing an amazing work in Nigeria when it comes to raising awareness about diabetes and just how we can treat and manage the condition. So I am excited. I hope your week was good. Hi, welcome. Okay, so just waiting for more people to join in and also checking out for her as well. Let me send her a request so she knows. Debbie. Okay. Awesome. Welcome. How's your week? I've actually missed being on live, but yeah, sometimes I just kind of give the space and just grow with the process. I'm mainly active more in our community, which is really, really cool because there are a lot of women dealing with PCOS, and we're sharing and just helping each other through the process. Welcome. So as I was saying earlier, this live is around specifically diabetes, where we will be speaking more about diabetes because today is World Diabetes Day, and we are joining the global movement in raising awareness. I'm just waiting for our guest Debbie so that she can connect with us and we can get started. Hi, welcome. Hi, Debbie, I can see you. I'm trying to, okay, let's see if it works. No. Welcome. Okay, it looks like it's connecting.
Good
Hi.
morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I'm actually really excited about our live this morning. Let me know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. People, can you hear us? Just let us know if you can hear us well or if you have any issues. If it's good. Okay. Anyway, so I'll get started. So welcome, Debbie. Like I said, I'm happy to have you on live today. As I was sharing with everyone, I was talking about today being World Diabetes Day. And, we are joining in to lend our voices towards raising awareness for diabetes. So I guess let's just get started. So the first question I had for you was basically about diabetes. Just, obviously from your experience, what is diabetes? And so I'll just let you take it from there.
Okay. For a very long time, a lot of people, even till now, a lot of people think that diabetes is just one definition. A lot of people think diabetes is just one. When we're growing up, the only diabetes that we get to know is maybe older people in our generation, or our parents or our uncle, older people. They just fall ill and they go to the hospital. By the time they come back, they say their sugar is high and they change some things and all that.
Yes.
But because I got diagnosed when I was very young, I was 17, and one of the things that I discovered was that even the doctor that treated me, was not even aware that there was more than one diabetes.
Wow.
So people were, I remember my mom then, she was crying because she was thinking, because, diabetes ought to be for old people,
Mm-hmm.
and is 17 to a 16 to 17-year-old girl having it. She was just crying because it was just like, then now spiritual attack,
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
stuff. So it was like a specific attack on me and all that. And everybody around me couldn't even give me an answer of why would I, because it was sudden. It wasn't as if there was an active person in my family that has it.
Mm.
It was just sudden. It was just, and nobody around me, including the doctor, could give me an answer. So that was what made me go on a journey. So then internet was still pretty new then.
Yeah.
You have to go to like a cafe to be able to. So I started investing and going like almost every other day. That's when I stumbled on American Diabetes Association,
Okay.
and I started reading a lot about the whole thing. I discovered that as at then we had like 3 or 4 types of diabetes. As at now, we have like almost 10
10.
types.
Wow.
So yeah, 10 types. So I posted something on my story yesterday about different types. We have like almost 10 types. We have diabetes 3 that is synonymous with old people, that they forget things because glucose is not being supplied to their brain. We have type 1 diabetes that we're talking about today that's synonymous for to children. In fact, right now, as early as 6 months old baby can have type 1
6
diabetes.
months old.
We have the one that, yeah, 6 month old, yeah. So we have diabetes that is called LADA. That one is the type 1 diabetes that is diagnosed in young adults. That means the youths.
Okay.
Before, we've only known it to be that kind of diabetes to be with people that are older, and when they are older, they are mostly insulin resistant. That means their body do not know how to use the insulin properly.
Okay.
So a drug or medication is given that will help the body to utilize the insulin properly. But we discovered that LADA now, for the young adult ones, they have to be placed on insulin too, like type 1, like injection. Even that medication cannot work for them. So if I just want to just give a
Wait,
simplified
sorry, Debbie,
definition
just
of
to
what.
interrupt you a bit. I was just wondering if you can move your camera back a bit so we can see you more. Because right now it's cutting. Yes, yes, perfect.
Okay, so basically now, if I just want to give like an holistic definition, I would just say it's pretty much when you have too much of sugar in your blood
Okay.
and your cell cannot accept that blood to be used. Basically, that's what I would just give generally. Because each one of those diabetes that I just mentioned, and the ones I do not, have their own specific definition
Okay.
of what is happening. Those type of diabetes is showing up. It has a specific reason and definition. So
Okay.
I can't really give those to each one. But for the sake of today, because we are talking about
Yeah.
children and
Yeah.
teenagers, it's basically type 1. So type 1 diabetes is also called an autoimmune disease. So what is autoimmune? Autoimmune literally means that your body attacks itself.
Oh, wow.
Your body thought there was a threat to itself, and the immunity rises up and attack itself. So what happened basically is that the body gets alarm, and the white blood cell comes out and kills off the similar.
Let me see. I don't know if. Can you hear me? Hi, everyone. Can you hear Debbie clearly enough? I just need to be sure. I'm not sure if it's me or. So if you can just let me know in the comment section if you can hear us. Let's see. Okay, so I think the problem was with her internet. Welcome. I'm just waiting for Debbie to join back again. So we're speaking or we're learning about diabetes, specifically type 1 diabetes that occurs in teenagers and children. Let me see. Okay, go live. Hi. Okay, so just waiting for her to come back online. So today is World Diabetes Day, and let me just give a bit of background why this is an important conversation to have. So, like with PCOS, one of the things they would say that women with PCOS stand the risk of is diabetes, and usually me and like most people that I know, when you hear diabetes, you're almost like, yeah, God forbid, it's not my portion, and all those sorts of things. You don't want to think about it. But then one of the things I'm learning is that getting educated about these things and even knowing what you're supposed to be doing with your own health, so that you don't find yourself in a position where you're overstimulating your insulins. Now, when I had a conversation with Debbie earlier this week, we were talking about the condition. And one of the things she raised was type 1 diabetes is also something that occurs in young adults. Now, if you're a young woman and you're diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, you are most likely going to have PCOS. So I feel like, in my opinion anyways, this is the conversation that we need to start having, early on, so that we know how to manage the situation. Okay, so yeah, welcome back.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So basically, like I was saying, the body is trying to defend itself, thinking there is an enemy. So in the process, it kills off the seemingly enemy that it felt is around to attack it. So it kills off the bad guys and the good guys, because they know how there will always be good guys and bad guys in the same. So it kills them all. And the good guys in this whole thing is the beta cell.
Okay.
So beta cell is the cell that produces insulin. It's located like around the liver. It's a cell that produces insulin. So when the beta cells are killed, that means the body cannot produce its own natural insulin.
Okay.
And insulin is like, we call insulin the gatekeeper hormone. It's hormone first. Then it's not like the gate. That means it's the one that makes all the other hormones stay in their place. It's like the coordinator.
Okay.
So when the body is producing its own insulin, and it needs to take an external insulin out to be able to do what it ought to do, is no more a natural process.
Okay.
So that means the person has to do like work in partnership with the external insulin to make the body to be okay. Unlike when it's a natural one, that it has been fixed. You understand? So type 1 diabetes is entirely an autoimmune. That means your body is not producing insulin. You have to take insulin injections multiple times a day to be able to stay healthy and stay alive. And lack of taking those insulin can be fatal. Can be in a few days, in 2-3 days, it can be so fatal that it can result in death.
Wow.
So now imagine that being in young children, being in young teenagers already. Teenager age is a bit of a challenge, because they are trying to discover themselves, they're trying to navigate. There's an issue of peer pressure, issue of drugs, sex. Now combine that with the complexity of managing type 1 is a whole lot for them. So in almost every country, we lose more of teenagers in the battle of type 1 even than children, because children has a caregiver. Either mom is responsible, or the dad is responsible, or the siblings, or whatever is it. But when it comes to teenager, a teenager is going to college or university, a teenager is going on their own. Then it gets to a point where they are tired, because type 1 diabetes means you have to take between 4 and 8 injections per day.
Wow.
And it's not negotiable. It's not that cannot, if you don't take it in a matter of hours, you can slip into a coma. There's something that we call DKA. That means your body does not have glucose, which is energy, so it breaks down the fat in the system. In the process, it breaks down, so it causes the system to be acidic. We start shutting down all the other organs in the system. So
Okay.
in a matter of 8 to 12 hours, an average type 1 diabetic can slip into decay. And when you slip into decay, that is, you are slipping into unconsciousness and you might not wake up unless there's an emergency or whatever done. So I deliberately focus on these teenagers deliberately because I knew what I passed through when I was at their age. There was nobody to answer my question. Nobody is talking about sensitive things like sex and diabetes, like piercing and diabetes, like tattoo and diabetes, like having a boyfriend and diabetes. Do I tell him? Do I do this? So I purposely focus on them because diabetes, type 1 diabetes on its own is not even talked about.
Yeah.
Now we are in an African setting that we don't even want to talk about those sex and those drug things. We are like kind of in denial. So nobody is even talking about serious challenges too. Is a young girl, a young guy is facing two serious life changing challenge and nobody's talking about it. So one of the reasons why I started talking to them, I don't just talk to the type 1. I'm a youth person because I believe that there is a gap in the old people and the young people already.
Yeah.
So the ones that are coming at back because of the social media age, the access to internet, somebody needs to be talking to them.
Yes.
We don't talk to them. They don't condemn them if they make a huge mistake. If you're not talking, if you're not inspiring them, if you're not their friend, you want to know each of their challenges, then don't just stand and be saying these kids can say no. You don't cause the darkness. You on your own light. You put light there. You put something there. So that's why I chose them deliberately. And it's a whole lot. It can be overwhelming. I chose them to talk to them. A lot of them are having fear of will anybody marry me. Even the young ones among them are having a low self-esteem because of type 1 because they can't just
But then,
party.
just a quick question, just to interject there. I'm sorry to interject. So, with young children or with specifically teenagers that are discovering that, okay, because like you said, as a child, it's pretty much maybe your parents or so that might find out and then they figure it out. But then when you get to adulthood or teenagehood, and I'm going to ask you what are the signs of early detections earlier on. So when for the young people, is it that there aren't? So for example, what is okay? Let me even start from what are the signs first. Then maybe afterwards, in terms of the gap, what is the issue with our healthcare system that these young ones don't seem like once these signs start showing up in, because it seems like it's type 1 can be developed later on. So if these signs that they've identified start showing, what is the problem that primary health givers aren't able to manage it and the children are ending up struggling? So yes, can you just speak on the signs and then what the problem is with healthcare in that sector?
I want to talk about first the signs in kids.
Yes.
That is a very, very tricky one. You might not pick it. So one of the very important signs I always tell parents to look out for is a child that starts bedwetting after he or she has stopped.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
A child that starts bedwetting again.
Okay.
Bedwetting again.
Okay.
Even after the child has stopped, you have potty-trained the child. Then maybe after a few months or whatever, this child starts bedwetting again. Because one of the signs of diabetes is frequent urination. So frequent urination, you start urinating, you start losing electrolytes. That means you start losing water.
Okay.
So when a child is that you are potty trained, that is not bedwetting, just start bedwetting few months after. That's a major sign.
Okay.
The other thing again is when the child is excessively hungry and is not adding weight. Excessively hungry and is not adding weight. It's just losing weight and is eating. Then you should just go and get a test done or a checkup. when a child is always tired, like a child is supposed to be full of energy and jumping, the child is always want to sleep, always looking drowsy, always tired. That's a very major sign. Now, for teenagers, one of the places that I think a lot of people are not looking into is basically in the when it comes to period menstruation.
Okay.
I think we are not paying enough attention. Another, because there are some signs that I want to link it to PCOS. So there are some signs that a young girl that just maybe by age 2, I don't know when they start their period. I think it's like between 10 and 13, they are already starting their menstruation. Yeah, so when the bleeding is excessive, when it's abnormal. I can remember then that when I was in secondary school, then there was no always, not this always that is flat, it's this bulgy one that we used. The bulgy one. So I can remember then that the flow was so much that I had to put one on my panties, then fold another one in the middle, just for the regular period day. And before break time, those two will be soaked.
Wow.
I was bleeding excessively. Because I'm somebody that I'm a natural quiet person, something you probably will not know that I'm going through. So I was the one that I didn't stay with my mom. So I stayed with my auntie. So there was nobody that knows how many pads I use or how many am I using. I buy it myself. I do stuff myself. So I didn't know that there was anything. I just thought, oh, I was bleeding. I was always bleeding and bleeding with clots, with a lot of clotting, a lot. And during my period is a struggle. I will be so much in pain, churning on the floor, like I want to literally pass out. And they were telling me it was normal. It was normal. I think that was one of the signs. And another sign again that parents of teenagers should look out for is excessive weight gain.
Okay.
Me, I wasn't gaining weight. I was a thin girl, a very tiny girl from scratch. So me, I didn't. But I know that when I started interacting with young people, I discovered that weight gain, which is another sign of PCOS, they're not eating much. They're just gaining weight.
You're just gaining
Those
weight.
two signs. Yes, those two signs, aside from because those two signs will have been around for years, let's say 2, 3, 4 years, before the real diabetes sign show. So the real diabetes sign is like almost a general sign. Frequent urination, feeling fainty sometimes, frequent urination, frequent tests, you'll be testing without no reason. Having another one, having UTI without any reason, having yeast infection, vaginal infection, all those, having UTI, urinary tract infection without no reason.
Yeah.
That one too is one of the signs that parents should look out for when a young girl is being treated. There's no dirty toilet, there's no cause for that, and a young girl is getting UTI, either is yeast or anyone. So excessive bleeding more than the number of days is still under excessive bleeding. Then having UTI, then excessive gain weight. Those three, I want to remove the one that makes all those things to be unique. That's why I'm talking about the general. I'm still going to talk about the general sign which every other person has when you have diabetes. But for the teenagers, excessive weight gain, excessive bleeding, and UTI infection just out of nowhere. So keep on treating. Then for the children, bedwetting, excessive weight loss, then
so
excessive hunger,
and excessive weight loss. So
weight loss and tiredness. So a child is always sleeping, a child is supposed to be jumping and is supposed to be shouting. Leave that place, but the child is always weak. So those are the ones. Then the general sign is frequent urination, frequent chest, excessive hunger, oral infection. That means you'll be having sores on your gum, your teeth, and everything. Always having fever. That means running temperature.
Sure.
Always tired. Yeah, always tired. So then when it comes to the healthcare, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. We are nowhere near anything. I have to literally work with my doctor to be able to stay alive and healthy. It was so bad that I couldn't give my doctor control over the diabetes because diabetes is mostly self-management. So my doctor is to prescribe. In fact, my doctor is somebody that is not is liberal, is open-minded because and is honest. He knows that they don't have enough awareness, enough knowledge, enough exposure to treat diabetes. So what we do, the first I have was an older person. So what he would do for me is that I should go and get research. So we'll sit down together and look at the research together. He was prescribing my normal insulin because there are a lot of insulin in the market for different. Insulin is not just one. There are a lot of insulin. So we might both be type 1 and the injection that we are using is different based on our lifestyle, based on how active we are, based on how well disciplined we are, that we can manage our blood sugar. My doctor had to tell me, I love to read, I'm a nerd, I'm a bookie. So he would tell me, okay, go and do this. So I got a lot of research. He does the normal checking me, making sure I'm okay, my BP, but I was the one that brought a lot of things. So we worked in partnership. So when I stopped using him because I changed location, the next doctor that I
can we just put in context of your time? So you got officially diagnosed when you were 17. So when did you start working with this doctor? Was it at 17? And for how long?
Immediately.
Okay.
Till I left university. That means till 2006, 2007.
Okay.
So like 7 years. So we're together. So he's the one that he treats me. I go for every month, checks my ECG, checks everything and everything. So when I was about to, when I went for youth service and I came back, I had to relocate. So I got referred to another younger doctor. So this younger one is open-minded and everything. So it was even the case of the partnership together now is even much more than then. It was even the one that started telling me that, Debbie, you need to put this thing out there. You know so much that if I sit with you and I'm not very confident in myself, I will feel threatened because over the years I've been working with the guy, and personally I've met people out of the country. I've not, in fact, for a long time, till like 2-3 years ago, I didn't meet anybody type 1 within Nigeria. I always meet the type 2. I didn't meet anybody. It was that until I started doing this advocacy work. That's when I started meeting people. I didn't meet anybody. It was like everybody that I have my friend were outside Nigeria. So I had a lot of exposure. I know about the latest technology, everything about diabetes and childbearing, diabetes and period, diabetes and menopause. It was all out. So when I met him, he just told me that let's just work with. And in fact, right now he's on my neck that you need to go and get certification as an educator. You know about these things so much that I just look at you when we are talking and everything. So the healthcare in Nigeria basically is not designed to accommodate type 1. The private hospitals are trying, but because diabetes is majorly self management. So we need more of patient education than medication. Medication is there, but we need to teach people this is what you eat. So in outside Nigeria, when you are diabetic, they assign to you a team of doctors, a team, not just a doctor, a team. So in the team, you have a dietitian, you have somebody that will check your eyes, somebody that will check your nerves and your legs, somebody that will check your blood sugar, you have a nurse, you get, so it's not just one person. So they sit together and diagnose you. So it's not just one. So there is a team. But here, you just get a doctor, and the only thing the doctor is concerned about is about your medication and how your blood sugar is. Really, that's the list of the whole issue. So we need a lot of patient education, patient motivation, education, than medication. If you can get it right in how you eat and you are motivated to do, the doctor will have less work to do. The only thing the doctor does is just to check your diabetes sugar log and prescribe the appropriate medication. Every other one comes from what you can do 90% of the time when you're on your own. So when it comes to medication, it's not.
And would you say, so if, I mean, all the conditions were right in terms of having, like, with more awareness going out towards type 1, raising awareness about type 1 and its management, would that mean that a child or someone that, or even a woman currently that is type 1 diabetic would be able to integrate better in society? Or how is that, even for yourself as well, how has that been working, and then managing the aspect of having to take the medications and shots and all?
Basically, if there have been a lot of awareness, I always say that diabetes is just a disability. The same way somebody that has an accident that has to be amputated is integrated back into society and they live normal life. It's the same way we deal with diabetes, because it's a condition. It can be overwhelming. But there's a way there will be proper awareness about it, because if there is awareness, that means there will be support systems.
Yes.
So there is awareness, and there will be support systems. So that part of the diabetes that is giving you sleepless nights, if you're in a support system, somebody will just mention it someday. Or you can just go to somebody that has had it before. And they say, when I was doing this is what I did. And that one will solve the problem. So awareness will create more people coming out. Two, awareness will reduce the fatality of undiagnosed type 1. Because type 1 is so sensitive and so tricky that it can be diagnosed under some other disease without knowing. Because it has like similarity of some disease, like it has like somehow malaria symptoms.
Okay.
Then it has like somehow typhoid symptoms. Then it has like somehow there's a lot of symptoms that comes together. So if there has been proper education and awareness, the person will have known that this one has passed malaria. At least I had malaria like 2 years ago, but this one is feeling a bit more intense. Then one of the things that the awareness will do is that you create maybe like free testing centers, free whatever that people can go in, get tested and everything. And the awareness of it again will take away the stigmatization and the spirituality attached to it. Because people know that it's normal, it's something that happens. The earlier you get it and it is caught, the better manage it is. So awareness is a whole lot. Even in America, that they've been on it for like 100 years, there's still a massive awareness about it, because even over there, people still spiritualize it.
Yeah.
People still, they still have diagnosis, especially for children. Kids still die because they misdiagnose it for flu, and they won't know why it's that. So, and for us in Nigeria, especially Africa, we are way
behind. Yeah. So, what would you think, Debbie's? Because I know from your experience and obviously having to coach yourself into a better health, it's led you to this point where you're an advocate for this awareness. So what would you, can you just speak more about the work that you've done in terms of with your with DDH, right, with Debbie's Diabetes Help, and obviously what the next steps are?
Okay. What the funny thing is, I do more work offline than online. I do a lot of work offline. And one of the reason I came online, or I've always been online, but I'm more active on Twitter. I'm a bookie person, so I'm more active on Twitter because you don't need to put a picture, you just need to write. So it's my like comfort place. But one of the reasons I came online is to talk about it. So one of the things I discovered was that some years back, I nearly died. But I just finished writing my final year exams. So my mom attended one of those big churches in Lagos. So she invited me for a program, like all this their deliverance, whatever, whatever. And I went. It was in November too. It was a few days after my birthday. And I went. I came from school and I just went there. And one of the things that they told us to do was that we should fast. I was not really so aware and so knowledgeable about diabetes and fasting. That's a whole topic on its own. Diabetes and fasting is a whole topic on its own. So I wasn't really aware. So I just fasted. So I discovered that we were fasting, we were breaking. It was like a 3 days fast. By the third day, I broke my fast, and they said that we should not take insulin. I shouldn't take insulin because God is going to do it. Now, before I go further in that, people that know me know that I'm a very, very spiritual person. I won't say I'm a coach, I'm a very spiritual person. As in, Holy Spirit is like my party. As in, we talk with, I'm very spiritual. I had to go on that journey because it got to a point where I was conflicted. That okay, I'm on a prayer ground where miracle happens, a lot of people get healed. Because what happened was that when I broke my fast the third day, I just slipped into decay. I didn't even know the signs of decay. I just started vomiting. I just started shaking. I couldn't see again. My mom was already crying. Before I know what is happening, I just started hallucinating. Everything just turned. It was from that prayer ground that they carried me and took me to my doctor. By the time I got to before they took me to my doctor, they took me home. So my mom took me home because she was trying to call my siblings so that they would pick me up, and so they dropped me in my motor and they tried to left. So my mom called my siblings that they should come and pick me to the hospital. I didn't even know what was happening. The only thing I knew was that because the dosage and the whatever of my diabetes is integrated in my subconsciousness, I could remember that I stopped and I took overdose. I know that I was going to take a particular measurement, but I took over because I knew that how I was feeling was abnormal. So I just took overdose, and after that overdose, I just slipped into coma. It was my mom that was telling me, and my sister brother was telling me that I was convulsing from where they picked me from my mom's house to the hospital. I was convulsing. That literally like put something in my mouth, and I didn't remember anything until the third day when I opened my eyes. I discovered that I slipped into decay, and I started asking myself questions that I was on the prayer ground now. So why would that be the normal thing to take? And that made me when I went on a journey. Throughout my service here, I didn't even come back to Lagos. I was asking questions, reading up, studying the scripture, to asking Holy Spirit, asking serious questions. And that was where this whole diabetes came up. Because I just discovered that, wow, I would have gone as a good Christian. I would have gone to before I was still there. Just because I have knowledge of what I'm supposed to have. So that was what started to speak up. It's right to speak up. And even till then, I was still in church. So one of the places where I don't discuss diabetes is in church. Or my church people. Especially when I know that it's spiritual. I just, as in this, God is not, knowledge and faith, they are not enemies. In fact, they're supposed to complement each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've heard some church folks that are close to me tell me, why don't I pray for deliverance? Why am I talking about diabetes and accepting it? One of the places I started from is just that healing is not even that the thing has limits. It's the acceptance that, okay, how can we turn this into something? As I talk mostly offline with type 2 older people because they are the ones that struggle with it most. So they don't tell them what to eat, what not to eat. They just give them drugs. There's a lot of rubbish that is happening in the health sector when it comes to diabetes. So I have a support group for them. I have a support system. They are lonely because they don't even know. Diabetes can be overwhelming. So I connect them to each other. I have a lot of mommies on my phone that calls me. They say this and that. They are struggling with the food. I just tell them there's a lot of stuff that I do offline. Then online, because of young people, because they're always online, I talk about it. I advocate for it. That was what led me to join, to take over the running of the Nigerian online diabetes online community. When the founder approached me, he has seen me on Twitter for years that I advocate for it. And he is not diabetic, and he is not in Nigeria. When he was in school as a doctor, as a medical student. So he approached me and we started talking. I've not met him before, the person that founded the organization. I've been in, but I've not met him before. It's not just, and he told me that the dream was that when they founded it, that they should hand it over to somebody that is diabetic, because they've discovered that if you are not diabetic, you cannot make a decision for them because you don't even know what they are doing. You have to have it. And from my research, the best doctors in the world that are good with diabetes, they are diabetic. Is that complex? You have to be in it to get it. Then even right now, all the organizations, they are changing their board to people that have direct link to somebody that has it, maybe their mom, their family member, or that has it. They change their board members, people that have direct, because you cannot be making a decision for, if you don't, because you can be very okay today with your blood sugar. You can see this evening and we have, and by the next morning, everything has turned over. And you are wondering, but you still smiled yesterday. Yes, you are not smiling this morning because so basically that's what made me start it. So when I went on that journey, I was able to effectively separate the faith and diabetes, understand the diabetes, understand the place of medicine, understand the place of prayer, understand the place of faith. I was able to do it very well and be able to stand in both places without each one touching each other, or know how to bring each together. Like before I had this program this morning, I prayed in the Holy Ghost. I told him that anything that you want me to say, you'll be the one that will say it. As in, those three did not run away. But because of what you're asking me, I didn't read it. Maybe somebody is bringing it out.
Yeah.
He didn't run away. He didn't. So I got to understand that he is in it. Because what if somebody did not discover insulin? Is it not God that gave? Devil will never do something that will bring good or save people. So it's God in it. So that was what made me start. Before a lot of other things aside, I didn't even know I was going to work with him. I just started and talking about it. And then I stumbled. I stumbled on teenagers from church, even just normal. I have a lot of questions. That gave me like a peek into who they are. So by the time I was thinking, okay, which area do I really want to hammer and see change? I just said teenagers, if they are having this struggle and they are not diabetic, imagine, because I know what I go through on a daily basis. Imagine if I now join with this struggle with what they are going through. It's going to be hell, and there's going to be a lot of stuff. So that's just what I started. And for the future, basically, I'm going for the teenagers.
Okay.
When I wanted to start funding stuff, I had a lot of topics to put, but that's where my heart keeps on becoming into. These teenagers, all of them that their family sees them as a burden. I lost 2 people this year, and I've known them for a minimum of 2 years. And anytime I visit them, I could see the family, the body language, as if they are a burden, that they're like a burden, because they see diabetes as it doesn't have a kid, so it's a burden. So, and most of these teenagers, because the Nigerian economy is so crazy right now, most of these teenagers, their parents have other bills that they are paying, like they're paying for their school fees, they're paying for their younger one or their old child. So they are struggling to still buy the medication, which is very expensive. Medication, the diet is there. anything can happen and we need to get to the hospital as a type 1. So I just discovered that if I can set up a fund where a diabetic can be taken care of, one, two, if there's an issue of unemployed whatever in the country, if I can set up a place where the diabetic is taken care of, I know how I feel sometimes when I have to pay some heavy bills in the month and my diabetes bill is shaking. There's this underlying silent fear. Because you know that in 2-3 days, if you don't take your medication, you are dead. And I know how many times I got my emergency savings to buy medication for people. During COVID, it was bad. I have people that have stopped their medication for 5 days. I was scared when I heard that you are still talking to me. I have people that stopped their medication and they couldn't get it. I have people that because of the lockdown, they didn't prepare on time before they shut down everything. So I had to liquidate all my savings because I told them that if everything happens to you and the savings is there, it becomes useless to me. Because God forbid you are dead and my savings is there. Then what's the use really? I'm one of the few people that want is to see people try. So I just after the whole COVID and after the whole stuff, I just decided that I'm somebody that I'm very careful about raising funds.
Yeah.
Because it's money. I'm very, very careful. But I spoke with the founder and he told me that go for it, that you need to. And I just said, okay, let me just find. And as I was researching, I got that platform where you can raise funds on behalf of people. I didn't even want to raise funds under my own organization because it's not a non-profit. I don't want that whatever on it. I'm very careful when it comes to money. So I just say, fantastic. I just raised the fund on behalf of Nigeria Diabetes Online Community that yes, that if I can raise funds for these kids, let's have like a fund where they know that mommy, daddy, leave so person. The insulin is taken care of from here. So please let me educate. When those kids, when they are like almost in their final year, the one that can handle it, then I would like to have them be trained in a marketable skill. They are not know how to make liquid, so that those ones are not skilled. A marketable skill that when the person finishes, we set the person up and we attach other people that are coming that are diabetics, that this person, this skill that we set you up, you can take care of this particular person. Just make it like a tree. We are attached to each other because at the end of the day, everybody is just an insulin away from dying. Because if anything happens now and we can't bring in insulin, no matter the amount of money that you have, it's still the same predicament. No matter how much money you have millions of naira, you can't access a small tiny bottle of insulin and you're type 1. You are gone. This one is not even a matter of we are the same in the struggle. So that's what made me. So the focus is I struggled a lot with posting online. I struggled a lot with maintaining the page. I just have to tell myself in November that it's not all of us that will be stay in their area of focus. The area of focus is educating these young ones and then raising funds for them to be able to get their medication. We are alive. Imagine if we are taking lesser, like in America, they have a lot of rationalizing. People died a lot in the last 2-3 years because people will have insulin. You know when it's supposed to finish, and you don't have money. You know that you don't have money because they use the insurance over there. You don't have money to put anything. So people start cutting the insulin into half, and it affects their overall health, and eventually they die. So, and I know that can be crazy, can happen to anybody. So it's really, I just decided in last month that I can't carry this whole funding or buying this only funding. And it's not even teenagers, the people that are working sometimes. Their office is owing them salary. A lot of them are working for free because of the COVID. Now let me just say we need to do something about it, and that's the future for now. I don't know whatever that will come. I'm going to work with a lot of people too. You are like an example now.
Yeah.
Of people. I believe the future is collaboration. I believe the future is collaboration. That if we can bring your own platform or bring your own strength, I bring mine. Let's see how much two can chase 1,000 and can chase 10,000. That means we do more when we bring together the resources that we have to push. So I've been doing a lot of collaboration this year just to push. I have someone in Uganda that reached out to me, that a mutual friend connected us. They were doing something about diabetes alliance. So I worked with somebody in New York. Everybody, because the struggle is the same. Either it is diabetes, it is PCOS, it's the same challenges, healthcare, awareness, organization. We are still, everybody is still in together. It's just the name that is different. Even some of the symptoms and whatever, it's usually like almost the same. Yeah, so basically, so that's what I'm doing.
Okay, and I know, even though this was off conversation, this conversation that we had you mentioned that you've also worked like in Ibadan as well with certain centers. So can you just speak a little bit on that in terms of the work you did with teenagers there?
I didn't get that very well. Can you please repeat?
So you said that was when we spoke. Remember you mentioned that with I think is it in UI, you've been able to work with some centers.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was just asking if you can also elaborate on that as well.
Okay. Under Nigeria Diabetes Online community, so we have a couple of teenagers, I think like 20. So most of them actually stays in Ibadan. They don't school in Lagos. Most of them are in the university, and most of their doctors are from Ibadan.
Okay.
So I have a couple of them that we are in the group together and we have one-on-one. So most of those kids, they are in Ibadan, they are doctors. In fact, I think, if I can say, I don't know if it is politically correct, that some of the best doctors when it comes to diabetes really is UCH. Because a lot of these kids, when it comes to kids, I know I have somebody in my team that has had diabetes since when she was 2 years old. Wow. And she's now 27. She just had a baby, doesn't. And everything happened in UCH. You understand? Even in the abroad, they will advise you that you shouldn't have kids. If only you really want it with type 1. They will advise you because it's a whole lot. It's like your life is entirely shut down 3 months prior to when you get pregnant till you have your baby. Afterwards, so like 2 years, you have to entirely shut down because your insulin, whatever increases, there's a high rate of you having a preterm baby. There's a high rate of complication and the baby has cleft palate or the birth defect. There's a high rate and everything. So they advise you that if you can adopt, if you can do surrogacy, it's fine. But if you really want it and you're ready to go through what it takes, then it's okay too. So I can say that from my experience, I might be wrong, but one of the best news and result that I've heard about type 1 for government hospitals has been from UCD. It might be that my knowledge is limited or whatever, but I've been from UCH literally, especially when it comes to children and teenagers diabetes. That is type 1. So I've heard some good reports there. And NG Doc and the founder did they have some work that they did there. I don't know if it's still on, but they create support for from 0 age to 18. I think it's still on from 0 age to 15. Like you can go there and get your insulin. So they have some group of young people that goes there to take care of their insulin too. So from age 5 or so, but I just use 0. That means from very young till when you are 18. When you are 18, when you're 18, you don't have access to it again. But before then, you can just go every month to a particular place or your doctor. Your insulin is taken care of. I think there are a couple of them, like 10 or 15 of them that the founder is taking care of from his own from his own pocket, his own contribution to the stuff. So that's what's up about that.
No, you're doing a fantastic job, because I understand how it is when you're just starting something and like you said, when something is like a pain for you, and then you allow God to just use that to bless other people. That is what I've seen you doing, because to the point of you saying that you're emptying out your savings, and then seeing how you can help people that can't even afford, especially during this period. It's very, very commendable. When I came across, because I started doing a bit of research. I think it was because I spent time writing, and the more I read about, just diabetes, because like we said with PCOS, they say, okay, you're at risk of type 2. I always felt like my own attitude towards it was, God forbid, and I don't want to think about it. But then I had to start saying, no, I need to think about what I need to be doing to make sure that that is not my case. But then the more I thought about, okay, what about even the people that already have it? Do we then have the information? So like with PCOS, what I've been saying with a lot of hospitals and in my own end, what I've been trying to do is get more hospitals that can say, fine, even if you don't know what to do with PCOS, there are now, at least since when I started, I think there are only maybe 2 or 3 people online talking about PCOS. But then once, like now, I've gone online and I've seen like so many people, and I'm like, oh wow, so it just takes one person starting. And now I'm even saying, like, how can I get to hospital so I can start telling them, oh, partner with us. If you have a lady that has been diagnosed with PCOS, send them to this support group. Like you said, that support is very good. So with what you even said about UCAH as well, what I'm seeing is that, well, I'm in Lagos, but in various communities where we are, there needs to be that connection with advocacy groups and hospitals, so that hospitals, when maybe they're feeling overwhelmed, they can have experts that can come in and even start training their staffs to say, this is what you should do. And even when you diagnose, it shouldn't be, okay, this is the condition where you come and take medicine. It should be, this is the condition. Here are places. It's like like people abroad that they deal with different things. They'll say, okay, if this one is alcoholic and they're trying to recover, they'll say, okay, this is AA, Alcoholic Anonymous, that kind of thing. They have different, for people that have breast cancer, it just helps process. And like you said about collaboration, key. So I'm really, really excited about the work that you're doing, and I just really want to encourage you, because I know it can be easy, but then the more we start having conversations like this, the more people start paying attention. Because for me, just took one day, I had to realize that, why are people not dealing with this? It should go past, yes, there's a prayer point, but then there's a point where you need to start taking action for people. So I like the fund idea that you raising up funds, and even to the point of even educating schools, because we're speaking specifically about teenagers. I know even in schools they don't even know how to deal with it. So awarenesses in school. If you notice your classmate is losing weight or something, don't stigmatize people. See ways that you can actually support them, and even in their sick days, because I remember when I was in secondary school, even though I don't have diabetes, I know that from an early age, insulin problems were indicated. My doctor just said to me, oh, you have low blood sugar. I was like, what does that mean? He was like, yeah, it's fine, it's okay, but it's not that bad, but it's there. I didn't understand what that meant, because in my head, the idea of even diabetes was high blood sugar. Do you understand? But then I'm now, even conversing with you and just thinking back at certain experiences where I had pockets of blackouts because of maybe my sugar level had dropped, but I didn't know what that was. I just saw it. I said, okay, I can't really see, and I moved on afterwards. So it's even just the whole sensitization of people and everything. So I'm really excited to, even because one of the things I said was I would even like to be more involved with what you're doing in that space. I'm just wondering if you have anything, so like people that are on the call, or anybody that listens to this, because we'll soon time out, anybody that listens to this recording, what are ways that you know they can join in supporting DDH and the work you're doing.
Okay, on David Diabetes Love Instagram, we
Hmm.
have a link in the bio that when anybody clicks it, it shows the donation button.
Perfect.
So the donation as low as 500, 1,000 can actually go a long way. I believe in collaborated effort. 1K might not mean anything, but when a group of people drop 1K, it means a whole lot and all that. So we have a link in the bio. So the donation is running for 90 days. I'm already, I think we are in 70 something days. Yeah. So it's there in the bio. Then if anybody wants to talk about it, talk about having any struggle, talk about anything or ask questions, the DM is always open.
Hmm.
The DM is always open all day in the bio. So there's a link straight up to our WhatsApp number. And just come in and just say hi and be attended to. So
Perfect.
that's about it. Yes.
Thank you so much for taking the time this morning to explain.
Thank you.
And I mean, if anybody here has even more questions, you can also reach out to Debbie's Diabetic Hub. They have so much resources available. Even if you're not, I mean, it might not be your condition, or you just want to learn more and see how you can help. Like she mentioned, there's a link in their bio where you can support and yeah, and just spread a lot of good news about how this condition can be managed, and it's not a death sentence. It's definitely something that, you know, with proper education, we will see a lot of improvements in, you know, in our society, in the quality of life that women, children, men as well, because men will be like, what about the men? You know, people that are dealing with this real condition can have. So thank you so much, Debbie. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you for joining. All right, so I'll catch up with you soon. Bye.
All right.